2 years ago, I left the United States of America, my home country and the only country I had ever known. What? In this video, you'll learn the 10 reasons why I left my home country, and I think this will ruffle some feathers. By the way, I'm James from the Freedom Files. Subscribe to this YouTube channel so I know that you like this type of content. And check out our website over at freedomfiles.co, and you can take a free quiz where you can find out how free you are on a scale of 1 to 7. Check it out. All right, let's get into it. Number 10. I believe the United States and the West in general is moving in the wrong direction. What do I mean by that? 2020 and everything that transpired really opened my eyes to the goals of many governments in the West. More government control, more regulations, freezing bank accounts, freezing assets, taking control of people's assets just because they disagree with their opinion, or closed migration routes, woke ideology, central bank digital currencies. I believe the West and Western governments are vying for more control over individuals' lives. I don't want any part of that. And the second note on this I'll make is that I realized I don't owe my home country anything, and you don't either. Whether you're from the UK, Canada, Germany, Mexico, Argentina, or Nepal, you don't owe your home country anything. You're the country whose borders you were coincidentally born into. Think of it this way: countries are companies, and we, citizens, are customers. We pay a price, which is taxes, to get the product, quality of life, from a given country or company.
I understand nothing.
Number 9 on my list of the reasons why I left the United States 2 years ago. The United States is the 11th most expensive country in the world. Not the first, not the second, not the third, but it is very expensive on a global scale. When I first left the country 2 years ago, I had just started my own company. And times weren't tough, but to make more income, to make more profit in my business, I wanted to reduce my costs. An easy way to do that was to leave the country where I was living. And what I found in that process is that you can really arbitrage between earning dollars and spending pesos. Tim Ferriss has a very famous perspective about this that he wrote about in the 4-Hour Workweek. Earn dollars or euros or Bitcoin or any high leverage currency and spend in a lower leverage currency like pesos, like rupees. The luxury life in other countries is much more achievable with less. Now I'm lucky to make 4 or 5 times what I was making in the United States, but at the time when I was trying to reduce costs, it was nice to live luxuriously. All right, number 8, and this is the quick one, but other cultures are just fun and novel. It's fun to experience new things and new adventures and new people, new languages, new customs, new norms, all that kind of stuff. But I will say this novelty does wear off after a certain amount of time. So make sure this isn't the only reason you're leaving your home country. Number 7, better weather. I live on the equator in a place called the City of Eternal Spring, Medellin, Colombia, and I love it. All throughout the year, the weather stays about the same, between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like 25 to 30 Celsius, maybe, I think. Canadian and European friends, you can comment below if I'm wrong. But I realized after living here that more sun just equals better health. All right, number 6. I've always wanted to learn a new language. And now that I've spent about 2 years here in Latin America, I'm now fluent in Spanish. That's not only opened my mind in a way that I can't really explain. I think about things in a wholly new way, but I also have access to 600 million more people than I did just 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I couldn't communicate with those people, and now I have business connections and friendly relationships with people who don't even speak my native language. That's pretty cool. All right, before we head into number 5, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you get more content like this, and give this video a like. All right, the number 5 reason why I left the United States 2 years ago is to be around happier, friendlier people. The old saying, keeping up with the Joneses, is completely real. Americans are always trying to one-up each other. And again, that's not a terrible thing, but once you experience something else, it may change your mind. I'm lucky I'm very intrinsically motivated, meaning I can motivate myself to grow my business, to earn more money, to grow my influence. I don't need Bugattis and Lamborghinis and Rolexes and people flexing on me for me to realize that that is not what I want. And don't get me wrong, I love competition. I welcome competition. I love seeing other people succeed because it motivates me. But also outside of work, when I'm done putting in a really long day, it's nice to talk with people who don't put that emphasis on entrepreneurship. Don't put that emphasis on making money. Don't put that emphasis on business is everything. I had just spent a month in Spain, Italy, and France, and holy crap, people are so rude. Maybe it was because I was a tourist, but I was speaking Spanish in Spain and trying a little bit of Italian in Italy. And it's just such a contrast between what I experience here in Latin America and specifically in Colombia, where the airport staff, the taxi drivers, the restaurant workers, everybody is literally so happy. I love that. All right, number 4, I am healthier and fitter here in Latin America. I love my outdoor gyms. I love my sunny midday workouts. Plus, I have access to some of the best food in the entire world here on the equator. Beef is all grass-fed, and I have really easy access to natural, organic fruit. And another thing, in the United States, healthy food is really expensive and inaccessible. It's hard to find. On the contrary, fast food is really cheap. Terrible food is really cheap, and good food is really expensive. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Well, in Latin America, it's like that. Fast food is a luxury and very expensive, and cheap food is normally a little bit healthier. All right, reason number 3 that I left the United States 2 years ago is to legally reduce my taxes. As a US citizen, I will never pay 0 taxes. We have worldwide taxation. No matter where you live in the world, no matter how much time you don't spend in the United States, you owe the Internal Revenue Service money. However, they do make it a little bit easier for people who do not live in the United States. The IRS offers a credit called the Foreign Earned Income Exclusion, which means your first $126,000 here in 2024 is tax-free. And apart from taking advantage of the FEIE, which is what that credit is, I was able to legally reduce my taxes in a couple other ways, including moving my state residence to Florida, which has no personal income tax, and converting my business infrastructure from an LLC to an S Corp. This is not financial advice, by the way, so do your own research, get an accountant to help you. All right, the number 2 reason why I left the United States 2 years ago is to diversify my nationality stack. While I didn't know a whole ton about this realm and philosophy 2 years ago when I left, I've learned a lot about it now. I read the book called Sovereign Individual, which taught me it's so important going into the future to have different citizenships, residency permits, bank accounts, income streams, assets, all these different kinds of things in order to minimize your exposure to just one government, just one authority, in the case that some world event happens again. So since I left the country 2 years ago, I have started down the path of investing in real estate in foreign countries, getting residency on the way to citizenship in a couple different countries, and diversifying my international bank accounts as well. All right, the number 1 reason why I left the United States 2 years ago, and maybe what you've been waiting for, is a new adventure and experiences. 6 months before I quit my job and about a year before I left the United States, I wrote my own obituary. And in that process, first of all, whoa, yeah, so morbid. But in that process, I learned that I wasn't living the life that I really wanted to live, that I was destined to live, that I had goals to live. I had wanted to learn new languages. I had wanted to start my own business. I had wanted to own multiple homes around the world. I had wanted to travel. And in that moment, when I wrote my own obituary, I wasn't doing any of those things. So it triggered a moment of realization and momentum toward those goals that I really wanted to achieve in my life. The last thing I want to do is to die with a whole bunch of regrets. So my way of avoiding that fate is to do as much as possible to live a life that's really valuable, really meaningful for me, and do all the things that I want to do. I didn't get to study abroad during college, and I didn't travel after my college graduation. So this was my first opportunity. After I quit my job and started working online, I had location independence. One of my all-time favorite movies is called Into the Wild, about Christopher McCandless, who gave up his Harvard law school life to go live in a bus in Alaska. He said that the joy of life comes from our encounters with new experiences. I believe that to be 100% true. So 2 years later, after leaving my home country with just a backpack, I'm happier, healthier, wealthier, and freer than I've ever been before. If you're interested in more of my story, you'll really like the Freedom Files YouTube channel, as well as all the content that I write over on freedomfiles.co. Give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next week.